Welcome, welcome. It's a big day today. A lot of changes going on in the government today. So, no matter what side you're for, there is change. So, let's talk about distractions and using brain wonder to help us focus and find what's important to us, right? So, let me get my chat going here.
Recording in progress.
Oop, okay, did it. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the recording, we appreciate it. All right. So, distractions, they are powerful. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're going to take our time today to talk about distractions and figure out how to use brain wonder, which is what I love, to focus and to block those distractions because it does take active forces to block all the distractions out there, especially today and a big day in the government. Let's talk about distracted. Why does it even matter if we're distracted? Well, because the researchers who actually study happiness tell us that when we're distracted, we are not happy. It is not our happiest state when we are distracted, when a lot of things are going on around us. So, why is that? What can we do about that? Well, Dr. Sonia Lubomirsky, she states that nearly all of us have bought into this myths of happiness, that happiness comes from these few things. Usually we think it's money, prestige, the right friends, the right social circles, then we'll feel happy. It's always like this has to happen, and then we'll feel happy. But so she kind of destroys those myths, or at least shares her research on what she found through science to figure out what does help us feel happy, satisfied, secure, have peace of mind, because those are things for sure that we want, right? So what's happening in the world today? Well, you're busy leaders, right? You have a lot going on. This is, we're looking for long-lasting solutions. We don't want the quick fixes. We don't want to just run around and put out fires all day long. We want to find the long-lasting solutions. So you're rock stars. You have a lot of degrees. You have a lot of, things on your resume, on your CV. But yet, some days we're tired. We feel like toast, right? So this is what people describe. Like, how does burnout feel? It's like, well, at certain levels, it feels horrible, but a lot of times people say, I feel tired, exhausted, or I'm crispy, I'm toast. So this webinar is for folks who want to help others, who want to feel creative, who want to feel like, yes, I've done a lot, I have a lot of degrees, or I want to keep going, want to keep learning, and want to keep growing. But I would love some guidance, somebody who loves to jump into the research, share it with me and figure it out. I love exploring neuroscience research and sharing it in an understandable way in a safe community. And the community that I build, I like to call it WAG. So that's a women accountability group. It's for women leaders who are looking for a safe, kind, compassionate, even fun place to grow. Like it doesn't have to be horrible and boring. We can make it fun, right? And we want to feel supported when we're learning because when we learn, we feel scared, we feel uncertain. There are emotions in our days, right? And when we're saying, like, we don't know everything, there's more to learn, we feel that, you're vulnerable, right? And so there are emotions that will come up as we learn. But we want to leave an impact in this world. We want to have meaning. We want to feel valued. So today we're going to talk about challenges that we face, typically leaders, as we navigate our days. But let's find a clear path with a focus of what matters to you, a framework to help you navigate your world. I don't have answers for everybody, but I do love to share my framework so you can build your own answers. You can build your own pathway, and you have new tools to help you navigate your own day to day, to find joy and purpose and meaning, again, to leave an impact. My vision is that people are empowered by neuroscience strategies so you can live fully in your gifts. But what is this environment that we work in? What is work like? Well, there are various models of organizational cultures, and this one I think is interesting to me. It shines three levels of organizational cultures because there's things we clearly see when we walk into the workplace, so we know where we are, right? We know when we're in a gym, we know when we're in healthcare. It's very obvious. It's the level above the water. Like if this was a glacier, if work was a glacier, what do we obviously see? We see artifacts, we see behaviors, and then there are certain norms. There are things that are just commonplace in those environments. It's common in a gym, People work out, get sweaty, and have, little clothes on or tight clothes on. But that's not normal in a workplace, a typical office workplace, right? So there are certain norms and values in certain various environments. And that's what this model reminds us of. And in healthcare, there's certain things that are common, and our values are health, right? And well-being. And there's norms around that. Like we don't just do things, anything to anyone. We follow protocols. We follow quality protocols. We never want to hurt anyone. That would be against our norms or our values in healthcare. But then there's these things very deep that are harder to see, harder to make sense of in our culture. And those are the things we assume or we believe. What am I referring to? Let's say, gender equity, gender inequities that are in the workplace, racial inequities in the workplace, in the cultures. And if we say, well, if the talk is, says like, hey, we believe in equality, but when you look at all the leaders and they're all white men, then their actions don't show that that is truly their belief. Your actions speak louder than, your words. And so what you do really shows what's important to you. So we have to dig deep. And what is important in our culture that we're growing in, that where we work, our culture at home, our societal cultures, we have to look a little bit harder to figure those out because they're down deep in the water. I like to think of them just like this picture of the flowers, the beautiful lotus flowers growing above the muddy water. The culture is the muddy water, most of it. It's the assumptions and beliefs that are down deep in the water. It's like, look at this muddy water. We don't know what's underneath there. It could be fish, could be turtles. We don't know. There's decaying products. We know that's why it's muddy, right? So there's things, small particles, which are sometimes good. We learn from those, but those are building blocks. Like the past and history is our building blocks to our learnings. But what else is in our culture that we're learning from? Those things that we can't see, those assumptions and belief. What do we assume is correct in our environment? Well, I can speak to healthcare. We know that women in healthcare, that's 42% of women in neurology, that's my area, report burnout. And this is from 2019. So the survey is probably from 2018. So way before COVID, this was happening. Insufficient time to do their work, high stress environment, lack of control over their schedule, self-reported gender discrimination, on and on. But yet, they were doing great work. So when they looked at the outcomes of women physicians, they were doing great work. They were adhering to guidelines. They were providing wonderful preventative care. They were providing those cancer-specific prevention services. They had great communication skills. They spent time with their patients, build partnerships with their patients. So a lot of good work was going on, but those things in the culture, there were still some assumptions and beliefs going on, right? So do you remember that first day of your new job when you were new staff or you just walked into your new job as your new professional job? How did you feel that joy? Like, "Ah, got this." Or, or today, what do you feel like when you walk into work? Do you have that same enthusiasm? How are things going? What do you see? What do you know about the culture that you worked in? Did you hope for more? Do you feel stuck? Well, in healthcare, work can be exhausting and it carries a risk of burnout and suicide for female doctors. Our suicide risk as female doctors is 4 times the general population. So that is nothing to ignore. But we do need to work for a lot of reasons. A lot of us need to work or we enjoy our work. We want to have meaning in our communities. We want to support our families. We want to have an impact in our communities. So a lot of people decide, well, in order for me to kind of drive on my own or find some new opportunities, I'm going to start a side hustle, a second job. So not only do they have one job, but they're going to start a second job. That's sometimes some people's answers to find control in their world. And then the legal professionals show us and tell us through this interesting book called Fair Shake. I highly recommend it. But they have a lot of theories why women are not advancing in the workplace, why those assumptions and beliefs in the culture are persistent. And the gender equity or the gender norms, they're stalled, they said, since the 90s. It's a long time. So what is the reality of the culture that we're learning in, we're trying to grow in, we're trying to be like those beautiful pink lotus flowers? Well, there's a lot of burnout in medicine. And do you know the year that it was reported? 1974. Can you believe it? A long time ago. I was born, but I was young. So a lot of you weren't even born. And it was already known that there is a reality of burnout that the workplace has certain risks to it where people will have burnout. So a lot of times people are just feeling overwhelmed, confused, not having times for what's important to them, like their family, their friends, not having the confidence to focus on what really matters to you, instead listening to the culture, not setting your own priorities, just kind of feeling like you're floundering in that gray water, there, that dirty brown water. And I never really learned, but it is the reality is that work can help us feel useful and it can even help our health. It can help us feel important in our cultures, but it can have negative consequences on the brain or positive. And when we want to give ourselves, when we want to learn or do something new or figure out this culture or take a new step or do something new in our workplace or at home or do some personal or professional growth, we want to drive that, we need to give ourselves more support. So what I learned in college is like eat junk food, stay up all night, and then study. That is exactly the opposite of what the neuroscience researchers are showing us and telling us with their own research is that will not bring us joy, that will not bring us happiness. We actually need to give ourselves more support. So more rest, more movement, better nutrition when we want to learn something because the brain's already busy. It's already running our whole body. So once we know how to navigate this culture, and once I share these strategies with you, you're going to feel less stuck, less confused, less disorganized, less frustrated, because we need to be in the know with the correct stuff, right? And just get rid of those myths. I would like leaders to feel empowered, creative, informed, enthusiastic, because you're hopeful, and you feel brave because you can live in your strengths, and you feel courageous and valued. So you can leave that impact in this world because we ought to be able to build a beautiful life and have meaningful work. Should not be one or the other. But it feels intimidating or embarrassing to have to set up this whole complicated well-being plan and to avoid this high suicide risk, at least in medicine and or burnout, we have to go floundering and find our own support system. So I'm Dr. Mary Rensel. I'm a business coach. I'm a business owner. I'm a neuroimmunologist. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm a mom of four. My family's sprinkled in these pictures. I really enjoy giving talks and keynotes in academics and corporate and running workshops to help people use neuroscience strategies to find joy in their professional life. A little bit more about me. So these challenges, who wants to hear about them? Let's see. And you, because we want to feel empowered and creative. But what that is what I really want for you. But there's themes in these challenges. There's gender inequities. We have limited business training, so those with training are able to navigate a little bit easier. It's really hard to balance this work-life thing, and these cultural messages are there and they're strong. What are the challenges that we see as busy women leaders? There's gender disparities and opportunities given to us in the workplace. We never learn neuroscience strategies to learn how to navigate a workplace that has a risk of burnout. There's time constraints because typically women have uneven home responsibilities. There's financial challenges. Women cannot get loans for new businesses as easy as men. There's lack of mentorship in building businesses or navigating a system or support system to feel empowered and creative in the workplace. We tend to wait to be chosen, where men tend to jump in and just go for that new position. The literature shows us that we think we need to have 90% of the qualifications for a new position, where a gentleman thinks they need less than 50% before they'll put their name in the hat for a new position. And again, that's because of those societal expectations to be quiet, be small, don't ruffle anyone's feathers. And the culture, there's a work culture, the hustle culture is taught to grind, work hard until you retire, and then you could get healthy. Even in innovative spaces, innovation spaces, there's more men than women. Even though women are creative, culture building, collaborative, society supporting. So I made a very clear 9-step neuroscience framework for me because I work in a system that has a high risk of suicide and burnout. And I wanted to feel creative and empowered. So I would grab, all the research from, psychology, from business, from neuroscience, from neuropsychology. And I built a simple system that I like to use to help myself navigate 30 years as a neuroimmunologist, and I like to call it brain vitality. And I've shared it in corporate and academic spaces because I want to help people feel like you're rocking it, that you can live it, what it is for you, what's important for you, and you can own it. You don't have to wait for someone else to open the door. You can set these systems into place. You can feel empowered. You can feel creative. How do we start? Well, I like to, separate and, those beautiful lotus flowers we saw floating in the muddy water, where are those things in the workplace, right? So we are the beautiful flowers. We're trying to focus, we're trying to find support, we're trying to have an impact in this world. There are many problems that need to be solved in this world, and we all need to be living fully in our strengths to be able to do that. So why does finding fun? Is that a funny place to start to help us focus? Well, it's a great neuroscience state. When we're having fun, we're connecting with others. It's a great neural balance for us. It's a great focus. It's a great neurophysiologic state for us. And we'll jump into that in a minute. I like to say protect your melon, that organ between your ears, protect it from distractions. That's the whole point of this webinar. Distractions steal our happiness. People are trying to steal our attention. It is something called an attention economy. We need to stand strong against it. And we need to learn little micro breaks throughout the workday to fine tune our energy in the workplace. How do we build our support to make it through, have long lasting solutions? I share some guardrails with you. How do we say no to things? How do we live in our gifts and strengthen them? And how do we assess who we keep around us so that we believe in belonging, that we understand? That's really important to keep people around us. It's a very strategic way that support us and to realize who's around us. Can we trust them? Do they help us? Do they support us? That's a really important part. And there's three other steps that we don't have time to focus on today and on ways to help you leave your impact in this world. But we do that in my membership called WAG. So it's Women Accountability Group. So if you're a busy women leader, come and join me. I'd love to have you. And these are the 9 steps that we focus on there. So we look for brain focus, how to energize our focus, how to find support, and how to leave an impact in this world. Why does it matter? So a lot of times we have to think, like, are we red, yellow, or green in these areas? So red is like, ugh, I don't really do that at all. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have any skills toward that. That's not something I do in my busy work days. Yellow is like, I do it sometimes. Green is, oh, I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. So people who come into my program tend to be red, yellowish on funds, meaning it happens sometimes, but they're not intentionally putting it into their lives because they're feeling stuck and they're busy and they're just making it through their work days. But fun can help us focus, find control, help our emotional balance go from negative to positive. When we feel more positive, we're more creative. We can find solutions in the workplace. We can get our work done faster. So this is a reason to bust through one of those myths that we shouldn't spend time on fun because it will help our creativity, our clarity, and our focus. So are you red, yellow, or green on protecting your melon? Do you block out distractions on purpose? Why? Because again, people are trying to steal our attention, our energy, and the brain is our essence. It's the thing that makes us us. It protects us, it gives us our ideas, helps us connect with those we love, helps us solve problems in this world. So if we want to have meaningful work, we have to protect our essence, which is our melon. So we have to be careful that we're not letting everything in and just opening the doors and windows in our house for everybody to get all our attention. So we want to protect it like it's gold, right? We want to decrease our risk of burnout so we can feel creative and empowered and ready to go and get our work done faster so we can go have our fun. We can feel fortified with these new tools. What about fine tuning your energy? Is that something you do throughout your workday? Take little micro breaks throughout your workday so you refocus. Because if you take a break, you can like rebound, refocus. If you try to only focus, you need to put it in a relaxation state so that you can go back and focus more. So there's that yin and yang, that back and forth. We need to, fill up our tank. And that comes from a wonderful book called Resonant Leader by Dr. Boyatzis. I highly recommend it. But we do have magical thinking that we can just go all day, 12 hours, go, 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 work all day, work all night. And it's just magical thinking. And so we need to bust through it because we can feel stressful and have long hours and many emotions in the workplace. So we have to learn how to work with it so we can recharge, refocus throughout our work days with these micro breaks. You red, yellow, or green on those? Most people who come into my WAG program are red. So this is what we do in WAGs, get these into our daily habits, set our goals, figure out our 3 buckets for our year, set our weekly tactics, and share resources with each other. So this is the 9-step program, my framework that I share to help others also navigate your amazing world. Obviously, we don't have the same worlds, but we can use these framework to feel empowered and creative. So are you red, yellow, and green in these things? Which one's your favorite? Do you like that energize your focus, find support, courageously leave an impact in this world, be that beautiful lotus flower floating above the water? What do you think? We have some new insight into the culture, just like that model shows us, that deep, hard to find part of the culture under the water, the assumptions and belief. Brain Wonder can help with us. It can help us with that. It can help us navigate these high risk environments. It can help us break through the myths of the workplace. And we know, at least in healthcare, many of my colleagues are in high emotional distress, is what the literature shows. And it's contagious to us. So we have to fortify and we have to be careful with the attention economy, people grabbing our attention. So there's a framework to help us. It worked for me. I share it with my clients. I share it in workshops. So come on in WAG and learn a bit more about it. So which one spoke to you? Which one do you feel like you're mostly read in? Your focus, your support, your impact. You have a choice. You can just leave things the way they are, maintain the status quo, or you can change, right? You have a choice. A lot of times we think we don't have a lot of choices. We're too tired to even see them. That's why this framework helps us just see more opportunities. And if we focus, we actually can change the world with our gifts. But when we're distracted and people are grabbing our attention, we don't have the energy or the focus to get things done. And the good news is adults can still learn. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So it turns out if something's meaningful to us, that's what these 2 studies show us, we will stick with it. So we have to find what's meaningful to us. We have to learn how to work with our neuroscience, like the EQ, skill building through meaning. It will be sustained. And the good thing is a lot of these studies were done with 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, people in their MBA programs. So they tend to be a little bit older. And they did have sustained learning and hitting their goals. And they stuck with it because it was meaningful to them. So why do I do this? Well, I believe in the human spirit. I believe in the power of women to raise communities, especially today is a big change in our government today. I wish I had this, framework years ago. I've been in, professional life for over 30 years. And there's a coupon today for folks to join WAG, for those that are listening to this. So check it out. It's a monthly membership. It's for professional women. And, I'd be honored if you want to think about it and come in and join us. It's a safe, kind environment where we share resources. We set up a system so we can feel, like at our pace, we can learn and we can feel successful. It's no one else's pressure. And we bust through those myths of that hustle culture. We actually slow down and focus on what's important to us and take care of ourselves through the process. So there's still time to join. It's called WAG, Women Accountability Group. A lot of people who come in, they say, like, life feels like it's flying by. Like, I feel like I'm floundering. I don't even know what my focus is for the year. It feels gray. It's still January, and people are just like, "Oh, I don't even know. I've already forgotten what I said I would do this year." And we waste a lot of energy on distractions. But in WAG, we slow down, we focus, and we do things with peace of mind. And we get clarity on what's important to us. What are our values? What's our purpose? And we become courageous action takers. We don't want to feel scared or wait or just wishing things were different, but not sure how to take that next step. So we have quarterly envision sessions, monthly master classes, and then weekly check-ins. So we set our tactics, and we have action-based sessions, but within the reality of wellness and well-being and peace of mind. So we get clarity on our values and our purpose, and we share these resources so you can align with your amazing brain to feel more energetic and find meaning. We all need people living fully in their gifts and strengths. So if you want to feel less stuck, less gray on the focus, or what are you going to do this year? You want to feel more creative, in control, valued, and joyful. We stop waiting for others to provide that for us and we take control and do it in WAG. So there's lots of promises in WAG. I would love for you to join me. It would be a blast. We're very intentional. I did, a few WAG groups last year and people kept coming back to different sessions. So now it's a membership. So you can just stay in. We won't lose momentum between the two sessions. So just imagine a simple framework to help you change your communities so you can build your unique journey to build a beautiful life with a supportive, fun, kind, compassionate community. So check it out. The link is here. And then you click on it, you use those coupons. Depends when you use them because they're only good for so long. And then watch your email for everything. It's coming with all the information. There's an app if you prefer an app, you could take a picture of this QR code. All right, reach out with your questions. Just feel free to email me at thebrainfresh@gmail.com. Okay, you got it. I believe in you. All the best.